What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got another episode of the CHB podcast, and we are joined by my very good mate, Brody. How are you going, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's a pretty crap day outside,
Oh,
so
yeah. That's why my lighting is terrible. If you haven't noticed, Brody recently turned 18. If you turn around, Brody, you can see all the...
oh, there you go.
There you go. But yeah, no,
This is
today
a
we...
wig of a camera now.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different things going on that I want to talk about today. And I think we're gonna get straight into the NBA side of things with what do you reckon is gonna go on with the New York Knicks and Damian Lillard? Look at that beautiful Knicks jersey. As a Knicks fan yourself, do you think the New York Knicks should trade for Damian Lillard? You know, tell us why. Why should they go out and get him?
Get me Dame. Yes, we need to get Dame. I think that should be New York Knicks' main priority going into the next season. And hey, if they hear any sort of rumor that Dame wants out of Portland, they gotta have the trade ready and just pull the trigger. They want RJ gone. They want Obi gone. That mate, anyone. The house is on sale
Wow.
for Dame.
Even RJ Barrett, your franchise player.
Yeah, I'll trade him for Dame. If we can
Wow.
get Dame and Randall, I will do anything for that.
Wow. I don't know if you trade RJ up, but if I was you guys, if like a trade came across where I could trade like Kemba, Emmanuel quickly, Obi Toppin, 3 first-round picks, and whatever pick swaps they want, I think I'm doing that if I was you guys, and then I can like kind of keep that foundation of RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Damian Lillard, and Evan Fournier. Like that's a main group of 4 players right there. Like really in that group, other than maybe like a slight bit of defense, you're not really missing exactly too much. Like that group has kind of gotten everything. I think you guys would seriously be a championship threat. And please, if you guys were to get Dame, knock off those Brooklyn Nets for me. I don't like the Nets at all.
I think we all hate Brooklyn. Who actually likes Brooklyn?
Yeah,
I
I
know
can't
some
believe they
Brooklyn
got
fans.
Paul Millsap.
Oh yeah, that was this morning, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
what a pickup.
How
Yeah.
did they get him? Like there was rumors the Warriors were interested in him. There was rumors the T-Wolves were expected to offer him like a $7.5 million a season deal, and he declined that. Like I don't
He just
know.
said, "Hey, I want that ring, man."
Mm.
Yeah,
It's like NBA players forgot that other teams exist other than the Lakers and the Nets.
I know it's getting a bit annoying now. It's always
Yeah.
just Lakers and the Nets.
Yeah. But you guys is like, so if you could get Damian Lillard, I could seriously see the New York Knicks being like a real big threat to the Brooklyn Nets. Like,
Yeah.
if you guys can build up chemistry, it would be insane. But what do you reckon? What would a realistic trade package look like for Damian Lillard?
See, I reckon a realistic trade, honestly, probably does have to include RJ. I just think if Portland are going to be trading their best player, being Damian Lillard, they're not going to just want purely, these young rookies that have just kind of, it's more potential. I'm not saying RJ Barrett isn't all potential because he clearly is. He's only 21 years old. But with RJ Barrett, you kind of know what you're getting. Where with Quickly and Obi Toppin, you don't know. Quickly could be a star point guard or he could be a bench guard. We just don't know. So I reckon if they're going to be training for Dame, they're going to want a young piece that is certain to be good. And I think, that would have to include RJ. Don't get me wrong. I would love it if we could trade for Dame and that just be, Quickly, Obi Toppin, some other pieces, Kemba Walker. I would die for that. I don't know.
Would you pay extra to not have RJ in the deal? Like, let's just say they said, all right, you can keep RJ, but we want like 2 extra first round picks or something else. What do you think?
Hey, mate, it's a fire sale in New York, mate. Take anything you want. You want the picks. You want if I would do anything to keep RJ, I'm a bit more realistic. I don't think we could keep RJ, but hey, if we can give him because we are one of the teams that have the second most picks in the whole league behind Thunder. We have so many picks. I would happily give them so many 2023 first round picks, 2024 first round picks, take all our first round picks. I would do anything for bloody Dame.
Yeah. When do you think Damian Lillard will be coming available though? Do you think it will be a matter of next off season? Do you think it could be as soon as the trade deadline? another thing is, does acquiring Larry Nance, how much does that benefit Portland and making Damian Lillard's decision? Like, because let's be honest here, Larry Nance is a 10 times better player than what Derek Jones was. But in saying that, I'm not too sure how much their team improves, like, overall, to the point where I don't know if that is enough to keep Damian Lillard. I think you need to, a player that I've always thought they could go after is like Tobias Harris. Like, I genuinely believe Tobias Harris was heading to an All-Star game with the Clippers, and he getting traded to the Sixers and being their fourth option that year and then being their third option this most recent season. I think if Tobias Harris was able to be a second option for a team like Portland and play with Dame, oh man, dude, I think Tobias Harris would be absolutely insane with them. But again, to get back to my question, does he become available at this offseason or deadline? What do you think?
You see, well, I reckon when we look at Dame, let's just look at Portland's offseason really quick. In my opinion, they barely did anything to try and keep Dame happy in Portland. Again, they got Larry Nance via trade, but it's like, I just don't think that's enough. That's not. They wanted something big to happen, and that's, and nothing happened. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised because let's be honest, Dame's going to give Billups a chance at coaching. He'll see how the team goes. He'll do it probably halfway through the season. But if he doesn't like how things are going, he'll start telling his agent, start looking at trades, start telling clubs, I want out of here. So teams can start preparing. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded halfway through next season. I reckon it's very soon. I reckon it will happen soon.
It could be a legit, I think their starting five got a whole lot better though, because like if we look at Derrick Jones started at their small forward position last year, and then when it came to the playoffs, they played him like 5 minutes per game. Automatically now, Larry Nance starts at that 4, I would assume, and I assume they move Robert Covington to small forward. Their team got better, like it really did, but it didn't. I don't think it improved to the point where it will go head to head with like the Lakers or the Clippers or someone like that. I don't really see it happening at all. But the New York Knicks, get Damian Lillard, make it happen. I don't want to see Brooklyn win anything.
Hey, that's New York's top priority. It's seriously, I'm telling you, this whole front office of New York, with Leon Rose and stuff, they've said from the get-go they want to get stuff done. They want a star player, and the star players that have been linked have always been D-Book, Cat, Dame. One of those star players is going to come to New York. I'm telling you right now, in the next 2 years, we're going to be getting a star player via trade. I'm certain.
Well, all you need is, I think, Damian Lillard and a good center, and I think you'll be one of the best teams in the league.
For sure.
But the next thing that I wanted to kind of move on to is the recent reports that suggest that Ben Simmons has requested a trade from Philadelphia. How does that tie into Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers? Because in my opinion, I think Philly will now be the favorites to get Dame just because of this whole Ben Simmons situation. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, again, it all depends on Portland, I guess. The way Portland have to look at it is clearly Philly are going to want Ben Simmons. I mean, not Ben Simmons. They're going to want Dame. If they're trading Ben Simmons, they're going to want Dame. But when you look at Ben Simmons at Portland, how is that going to work? Because they're going to be getting more players in. You'd assume Thybulle's probably gone as well. Because Philly, it can't be a straight swap. It's just Ben Simmons has lost so much value. He's not as valuable as he was, 2 years ago. It's just, I don't know. He doesn't have much value. So don't get me wrong. He still has quite a lot of value, but it's just compared to what he was 2 years ago, it's nothing to what it was. And just, hey, a trade could happen. It was.
You know what I think the issue is? I think the issue is, for once, it's more on Philadelphia's side than Portland, because Portland for the longest time has been so hesitant to trade Damian Lillard to the point where it's just never, ever happened. They've always just been this mediocre team. But looking at Philadelphia, they're also in a situation right now where it's reports they hold Simmons' value as a good young player, a near all-star talent, and 4 unprotected first-round picks. That's pretty much what Portland would probably have Dame valued as. So if Portland and Philadelphia have these players valued at a similar thing, this trade is never going to get done because there's clearly the Portland Trailblazers in this scenario are like Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars 3. They have the high ground. They legit have the high ground. And Philly is sitting down here and they've got no hope right now at trading for Damian Lillard if they have Simmons at this value. What a realistic trade for Damian Lillard, I think, looks like is I think it's Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, you'd probably say two or three unprotected first round picks. Got to be in there. And maybe a player like Shake Milton. I think that gets the deal done. But it can't just be a straight swap, which is what, for some reason, Philly in their mind are kind of thinking is going to work. It's just, it's not going to work, you know? But that's why I don't think this trade's getting done. I don't think Dame is going to Philly at all. But
yeah, I don't.
Where else could he go?
Yeah, I don't see it. He wouldn't. The way Philly think, they just think Ben Simmons is worth so much more than what every other team thinks in the league. Every other team does not have Ben Simmons' value as what they think. Hey, don't get me wrong. I like Ben Simmons as like a player, not as a person. I'm not a fan of him as a person.
Oh, yeah, who is?
But as a player, I think he's got potential. He gets some sort of just not even a 3-point shot, just a mid-range, something where he can. Hey, I've said it in other podcasts before. He could be like a Giannis player. It just really, really, really needs to work on his game more. But I don't see him being traded to Portland. It's probably more. I would have said Sacramento, but now the rumors are saying that that's kind of been broken. That's not going to happen anymore. I heard that.
Do you know who I reckon will trade for Ben Simmons now at this point? A team that is ready to give up a lot. Like if they value Simmons at how they value, I could see the Timberwolves coming in and be like, all right, we'll give you 4 future first round picks, Malik Beasley, and someone else like Patrick Beverley maybe to make the contracts kind of match up somewhat. And then I think Philly will be relatively interested in that because can you say no to 4 first round picks and 2 solid role players?
It's not enough, I don't think. It's just,
reckon?
Hey, but if we're thinking Ben Simmons goes to Minnesota, hey, but then again, Minnesota have been so bad. But if he goes to Minnesota, you'd expect Timberwolves to be actually good, especially with D'Lo, Cat, and Ben Simmons. Surely that team has to be good. So those picks, let's just say they're over 2026, 2027. Hey, that's a while away. But Ben Simmons is under 4 more years. It's just those picks might not be as valuable as we think.
It could be true, but then there's the other case scenario of what happens if they're next year's pick. Because even if the Timberwolves have D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, Cat, and Ben Simmons, their next best players like Taurean Prince, and they've got no one after that. I can't see them. They will be a play-in tournament, but you can have 4 of the best players in the league, right? We saw Brooklyn when they had KD and Kyrie playing, a lot of these games, right? But when they didn't have Harden, they didn't have other role players here and there, and they had minimal depth, they still struggled at times. Like, they legitimately still struggled. And if you compare Anthony Edwards, Ben Simmons, and let's just say Cat, or, actually we'll say D'Lo, that 3 is not as good as what Brooklyn has, and they have way less depth than what Brooklyn has. So I could see them being like a play-in tournament team. Yeah. And I think their picks will be, I still think they'll be relatively good. So that's where I think Philly they do well in this trade if they were to make something like this happen. Because, if you can get pick 14 or something like that, it's pretty good. But, 2 solid role players, pick 14 and, pick 20s for the next couple of years. Plus, you might have some cap space relief in the next year or so to go and get someone.
But we just got to remember though, it's Philly. They've got Joel Embiid, which is an injury-prone star. They're not going to just want picks. They're going to want a player that can help them right now. Which Beasley. But what's even happening with Beasley? Isn't he going to jail or something?
I think he just got out of jail after multiple days in there or something like that.
I think they're gonna want someone a bit better than that just to help them right now because they know that Embiid's injury-prone, but they also know that when he's healthy, he is the best center probably in the whole league. So he just, they want to win now. I just think the picks isn't intriguing enough. It's not intriguing for other teams. It would be, but for Philly, it's just not intriguing enough.
What about right now the Golden State Warriors? Do you think they're kind of are they in a situation to go after a big star in 2022 because there's a star right now who's been currently linked to the Warriors for a long time that I think, hey, why couldn't they go out and get this player? And that's actually Bradley Beal. Is there any chance, Brody, that they can get Bradley Beal to the team? Let me know.
100%. Golden State have so much leverage. Yes, they've got no cap space, but that means nothing. It's just the whole thing now is you've just got to have these contracts that are tradable. And you've got you look at Wiggins' contract and say, "Oh, it's a bit of a yuck." No, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, it's a bad contract, but he's still a good player. He's not terrible, so that's tradable. They've got the contracts to just do an easy sign and trade, and the amount of assets Golden State actually have is ridiculous. So to think Bradley Beal, 100%, even if Bradley Beal's a free agent, that's when they do, just the cheeky sign and trade, which is what teams are doing now. You just do sign and trades and you can get whoever you want as long as you have assets.
Well, that is very true. Like, if a sign and trade happens and you ask the Wizards, all right, Bradley Beal, he can go to, let's just say, dude, we'll go a random team, all right? Just a random team. He goes to a random team that's trash, like Orlando, right? He goes to Orlando. You get nothing back for him.
Yeah.
Or he can go to the Golden State Warriors, where maybe if you're the Warriors and you actually play your cards right, you could end up with a dude like Andrew Wiggins, a future first-round pick, and even a young player here and there, like maybe a Jordan Poole or I would say Eric Pascal, but they kind of traded him for a second-round pick. But you get what I mean, right? If you're getting Wiggins and a first-round pick and a young player, you are way more preferring that than just letting Bradley Beal go for absolutely peanuts, right? So
100%.
That's what you want.
Yeah. If you're Washington, you look at it like you said, you're not going to want him to walk just for free when you can do a sign and trade with Golden State. Or there's so many other teams out there that, are smart enough to get the asset to do sign and trades. Like, and just, another team off the top of my head is, New York. We've done the exact same thing. We have the assets to trade for sign and trades. But yeah, he's a perfect, yes, Golden State could easily do that. And they could just say, you know what, we'll give you Wiggins. Again, it wouldn't be as much because it's a sign and trade, but yeah, easily. Like, it's very easy.
If you're a Wizards fan, you should not be picky at all. Like, if that's what you end up with, then you're just saying, all right, that's what you want. Because clearly, I don't think he will be traded at this deadline unless they were to be catastrophically bad. And he was just like, you know what more can I do, dude? I'm completely out. But I don't think that's going to happen, though. I have a feeling they'll be in, like, the play-in tournament kind of contention because, like, did you see the depth they brought in? They've got one of the best depth teams in the league, but then, like, their third best player is, like, KCP. So you don't expect them to really win too many games, especially with Dinwiddie coming off injury and, all that type of stuff. But the Warriors have a perfect sign and trade right now to go out and get Bradley Beal. But the other thing you've kind of segued me into right now, New York. Could New York go out and get him? What would you try and get Bradley Beal if you're a New York Knicks fan? It was just Leon Rhodes. Do you think he should go out and try and get Bradley Beal? And what would he have to get up to maybe make this happen?
I think with Bradley Beal, that would probably be New York's not their preferred free agent, because they'll definitely want, Booker or Cat or Damian Lillard instead. But hey, if Beal said he wants to come to New York, yes, there's no doubt in my mind they will just pull that sign and trade instantly. We could trade, whoever they wanted, really. If they want Obi, I'm happy to trade Obi. I think the Obi doesn't have much value right now. Yeah, easily. And we've got the contracts like Evan Fournier. I think it would have to be Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and then probably another contract that's not, just in the middle. And then that gets the trade done. It's which, hey, that gives Washington some shooters, a youngster, and hey, it's like that's a good trade.
Would you trade Fournier or would you prefer to trade Burks and Noel?
That's a thing. It depends, I guess, because no, I'd rather trade Burks and Noel, but that's two players instead of the one, because Fournier's on like 18 million and then
They're on
Nerds
about
and
10 mil
Ural.
each.
Yeah, they're much cheaper. There's Nerds and Urals on actually like 8 mil plus like bonuses and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there you go. Nerds and Ural, Burks, Obi Toppin, and like so I think I was
First
looking at
round
it.
pick would have to.
Yeah, probably. But I was looking at it earlier. I think you have to, because we're gonna assume that Bradley Beal is gonna sign a max. If they're doing a sign and trade, you have to match. I think it was $27 million. So if you can get, you just got to trade out $27 million to get in Bradley Beal, which is on like this huge contract. Yeah, it's definitely possible. And I think if it came out that he was interested in New York would be like, bang, let's trade for him. Let's pair, Bradley Beal, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitch Robb. Yeah, for sure.
Well, if New York really wanted to make it easy on themselves, Fournier's on 20 million. I think Toppin's on about 7 million. So if you think it's 27 million, then mate, you just trade those two contracts and then that's that. Plus a first round pick or whatever. And as we said with the Golden State Warriors situation, people might be like, oh, Fournier Toppin the first round pick. That's not enough for Bradley Beal. Are you guys stupid? But please remember, this is a sign and trade. Philadelphia got Josh Richardson out of Jimmy Butler. You're not going to get that much. And that's a nice sign and trade. Like a first round pick, Fournier and, Toppin. That's one of the best sign and trades that you'll probably see in quite a while.
Yeah, well, it's not like it's a player. It's not like Bradley Beal is on a contract till like 2024. We're talking about him being a free agent. If he really wanted to, he could leave and go to some shit team with heaps of cap space for free. But instead, he's helping out Washington, saying, "Hey, sign and trade. I'll sign here. You're going to trade me to this team I want to go to."
Yeah, and he just can't go to New York or Golden State straight up because neither team, of course, have the cap. So it'd have to be a sign and trade situation. I don't want to hear anyone in the comments complaining about this. I can't stress this enough. How obvious this is that you don't get much out of sign and trades anymore. That's just the reality of things.
Hey, and that's still a lot. Like, if we're being honest, if it was New York or, Golden State, if you're getting Wiggins or if you're getting Obi Toppin, hey, that's pretty good to have a sign and trade. That's awesome. Yeah.
No, I don't want to hear no Wizards fans complaining in the comments. I'm sick of it. I remember I had like a comment like this a little while ago that told me how like stupid I was for suggesting the sign and trade. And I like literally commented back, yo, Josh Richardson for Jimmy Butler. That's all I'm going to say. And I got no response. So I'll say I won that argument. But next thing was question time, right? Did you watch the Jake Paul fight? Did you see it at all?
I was watching it. I did a bit of studying as well when I was watching the fight, but yes, I did watch it.
Okay, cool. So you've done your research.
Yeah.
I'm going to put these comments to bed, all right? Because I'm not a Jake Paul fan whatsoever. I hate that I have to clarify this to support my opinion, but it's just what it is. It's how hated Jake Paul is. The fight was not rigged. That is to answer it as simple as I can. Jake Paul won at least 6 of 8 of the rounds. The fight wasn't rigged. I don't want to hear no more comments about this anymore. I think the fact that it was even ruled a split decision, in my opinion, was lucky on Tyron. Like when we look at I think it was I can't remember if it was Joe Rogan or who it was that had like this little reaction to it, and they were like, "Oh, Jake Paul, anonymous decision right there and then," and it wasn't. So again, don't get me like take that with a grain of salt. Can't remember if it was Joe Rogan. Could have been someone else, but so many of these people were saying that actually follow boxing that were saying it was an anonymous decision, and it was ruled as a split decision, which I thought was still crazy. And then you got people out here saying it was rigged. I don't know what part of this fight could have possibly been rigged, but I don't know. What are your thoughts and opinions on it? What do you reckon about the Jake Paul fight?
I don't watch much boxing. I watch quite a bit of UFC on the Sunday, Sunday for Australia. But this wasn't rigged. I think you're pretty, you've really got to hate Jake Paul if you think this was a rigged fight. It wasn't rigged. Honestly, I thought it was a pretty even fight, in my opinion. I thought Tyrone Woodley had, some really good hits. I think it was in round 4. When he had Jake Paul kind of stumbling and that was awesome. We like get them there, But then again, Jake Paul had some awesome combinations and some rounds. Like I thought it was pretty fair. I would have probably given Jake Paul the win, but it was close. It was closer in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it was no way like it was rigged. You could not say it was rigged.
Yeah. Was split decision fair, or would you have gone anonymous?
I thought split. Yeah, I thought.
Ooh.
Yeah, no. So I thought it was close. I
Yeah.
actually wasn't too sure who was going to win.
Yeah.
At some stages, I thought, oh, Woodley might win this. But then, yeah, we saw what happened. Jake Paul won.
Yeah. Well, the only time I thought Jake Paul was in danger of losing was when Woodley did hit him, and he bounced back off the ropes. And I remember thinking, all right, this won't be called a knockdown, which it wasn't, because it's like, it's as good as if you were to push someone in boxing, which obviously does not happen. But if you push someone against the ropes and they stumble, or whatever, and go back into it, it's not a knockdown. His knees were nowhere close to touching the ground. He wasn't on his backside. None of that happened. He got straight back up and all this stuff. But I think what the interesting thing around that is that was the only time where I was like, all right, Tyron might be in this fight. That was the round that I think he won. The other round that I think he won was round 8, but that was kind of in like the dying minutes when it was like the fight was done. I think up until round 8, Woodley had only won one round, and then he kind of got the last round. But still, there was a complete difference. Like Jake Paul, I think his throwing percentage was like, his hits landed was like 34. Woodley's was like 30. Jake hit, I think, 20 more punches than what Woodley did. And the thing about Jake's punches was he was convincing. Like, I think what was so smooth about Jake was just the way he boxed. You could tell that, like, he had, Tyron Woodley, he was such an MMA fighter, UFC fighter, rather. You could just tell, like, this guy, like, the way he fully put his, fist back to bring in the full momentum and all that. That's such, like, a UFC thing to do. But with boxing, you could tell how composed Jake was. And it was just, I think, it was a silkier and smoother fight by Jake Paul. And he landed more hits. He did everything better than Woodley, I think, except I think Woodley came closer to knocking out Jake Paul than Jake might have Tyron Woodley. So, yeah, I thought split decision, it's a little bit odd. I probably would have gone anonymous, but I can see where a split decision might have come in. But I think it was pretty clear. There was nothing rigged about the fight. But hey, he wants a rematch. Tyron wants a rematch. If there was a rematch to happen, could he win?
Hey, he's going to get that tattoo first, mate. I love Jake Paul.
I love Jake Paul. A rematch would be so weird. Like, I don't know. It would just be a weird fight. Apparently, it's going to be in Tyron Woodley's hometown, which is like St. Louis or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I don't know, dude. Like, you're not going to get as many people as that show up to the Cleveland fight that you are the St. Louis fight. So it's kind of like, as a business standpoint, Jake won't do this fight anyway. But as Jake Paul wants to prove everyone, if this guy's got more to prove, then he could do it in the next fight. Because if they have a rematch, I think Jake Paul's winning it.
I think there's no more saying Jake Paul is just fighting all these trash people. Hey, Woodley's he's good. He is, and yes, don't get me wrong, he's a UFC fighter. He's fought 2 UFC fighters now, but he is good. And you look at Jake Paul, he's actually a really good boxer. Not saying, if he versed an actual boxer, he'd probably get his ass kicked. Yeah. But like, he's a good boxer. He's for a YouTuber who's only kind of gone into it. He's a good boxer.
Who wins the rematch?
I would still say Paul, but
well, what would, like, people were saying, oh, Jake Paul got exposed in this fight. How? Like, if anything, this guy's going to get better from that fight. This was the first time he ever, like, fought someone that can land a solid punch.
Yeah.
You're telling me that he won't get better off this fight. How was he exposed from this fight whatsoever,
Yeah.
Jake Paul, he'll get better from this fight. There's rumors that his girlfriend's pregnant. Julia Rose. I was in a group chat with the boys the other day, and they were saying how, like, hot Julia Rose is now. They were like, I wonder who she's dating. And I should have seen the disappointment. You could just tell the disappointment in their text messages. But yeah, no, he I think he'll take some time off. He's gonna get better though. And can we put to bed this KSI fight? It's never gonna happen, I don't think. Like
we all want it to happen, but it's not gonna happen. There's no chance.
I don't know. I don't know if I want it to happen though.
Oh, really?
Because if you're a mega KSI fan, which I'm not really saying I am either, but if you're a mega KSI fan, you should be scared. Like, you know he's coming into this fight, and there's a 95% chance Jake Paul's winning this fight. Like, it's a huge chance.
Oh, KSI would get he would get smashed. He would, like Jake Paul has been in so many fights. He would demolish KSI. But then again, KSI hasn't been, practicing and stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty obvious that if it was to be KSI versus Jake Paul, it's pretty obvious what the outcome would be.
And I do like KSI. Like, I'm not saying that I'm a big fan, but I do like him. But, like, his fans need to chill out a little bit. Like, they're saying, oh, he's going to go fight this Ace family dude, and he's going to get ready for the Jake Paul fight. This dude's, like, 35, a father of 3 that makes vlogs. Yeah. Dude, he's not a boxer. Jake Paul just fought a dude that was, like, 40, right?
Yeah.
But an UFC legend, rather, like, there's a pretty sizable difference on KSI and Jake Paul now. I don't see it happening. If they were to fight, I heard he wants to run another fight in Cleveland. He said he wants the next fight to be in Cleveland, but if he's rematching Tyron, it won't be in Cleveland. But hey, I don't know, KSI, that'd be a bit weird if KSI was to come to Cleveland, and especially with all his music stuff going on. I think he'll lose. It just...
Yeah. People just forget that, like, Jake Paul is fighting, actual fighters. Yes, he's in the UFC, but he's still a professional fighter. Like, and he's really good. It's let's not forget what Jake Paul has actually, accomplished. Like, it's he's beating actual fighters, UFC or not. They're actual, real fighters.
Is it time to put some respect on Jake Paul's name?
Yeah, give the man some respect. I think it's definitely time. It's like, people keep saying, oh, that fight didn't count. That fight didn't count. And you can't now say, oh, Woodley's fight didn't count. Dude, you've all been saying Woodley's the real deal. He won. Like, let's just cut it out. Give the man some respect. He's a good fighter.
You know what's interesting too in the fight? Woodley nearly knocked Jake down, right? Yeah. But if we're looking at a rematch here, did you see some of the punches Jake Paul missed? And he missed them by like that much. There was one where he swung like that, right? And then went for the uppercut underneath and was like this close off missing. If that made contact, Woodley's done. Woodley's done. He's probably getting knocked out.
Yeah, if he made contact with some of those punches, you could have definitely seen a knockout on our hands in that fight. But yeah, luckily for Woodley, it didn't hit.
Yeah. But what happens in the rematch, though, when this dude has had extra training, extra footage to watch? Because there's not much footage for Tyron to watch of some of the missed shots Tyron had. None of them looked like they were as knockout bound as some of the missed shots Jake Paul had. If Jake Paul landed those shots, dude, and that's what I expect for the rematch. If they were to rematch, I don't think Jake Paul's missing as many of those shots anymore.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what the outcome would be if they fought again. It'd be closer. I still reckon Jake Paul would win, but you'd think that with all those film sessions and stuff, it would be a more interesting fight, you could say.
Yeah. All right, moving on now from Jake Paul. I think we've got, unless something else happens, I don't think we'll be talking about Jake Paul for a little bit. I think he's taking some time off. But...
One sec, before you do move on,
okay.
LeBron James, mate, he even tweeted out to him. Because if we are moving on back to basketball, which I don't know if you are or not, LeBron James, he traded to Logan Paul.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, dude, credit to Jake Paul. If you can get LeBron James to come and tweet you, then that's and the home where LeBron James was the king of for so many years.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty insane. But moving on now, the Chicago Bulls. There has been a lot of talk about them and their interesting off-season, I'd like to call it, because I really like their off-season. I know some people didn't. But what are your expectations for the Chicago Bulls this season? Do you think they can make the 2022 NBA playoffs?
I think in the East, the actual playoffs is very in the playing tournament going to include that. It's any team could be in it really, except it's at the bottom teams like Orlando. It's just so many teams could actually make it, and Chicago they've added what? It's DeMar, Caruso, Lonzo. They've added some good pieces, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago do make the push and make the 7th seed, maybe even 6th if they just play really well. Like, hey, they could.
Well, think about the 4 players they've added: Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, Derrick Jones Jr., and Alex Caruso. Not only will those 4 players come in and make the team 10 times better, but Kobe White will improve from this. I think his position coming off the bench now is going to be much better for them. I think Zach LaVine becomes an even better player because, he won't have so much to deal with. Like, DeMar can take some shots. Vucevic now, I'm gonna say Vucevic is an addition too because we didn't really get to see much of him next season. The thing that I think will let Chicago down is they've got a pretty bad issue with their depth right now. And I think it is very, very evident they don't really have a backup power forward and center. Like, the best backup power forward and center is Tony Bradley, which is, come on now. I don't even know who their backup power forward is. I don't know who their other center is. But let's just say Vucevic gets injured. Oh my. This team is in some trouble. Its depth chart is really concerning for me. And the other thing was someone was like, oh, they're the next Atlanta Hawks. They're going to have a season like Atlanta. No. The difference that separates Atlanta from Chicago is Chicago might have some more Chicago might have some more star power. But dude, have you seen Atlanta's depth? Their 15th man was like Chris Dunn. And he's a pretty solid player.
Yeah. He's good. He'd like be really good piece on Chicago.
Yeah. Their depth differential is pretty substantial. Yeah. But I expect the Bulls to make the playoffs. Where do you reckon they sit, though?
Yeah, so I reckon I'm probably not as high on the Bulls as you are. I reckon they might not be as good. I'm not a fan of Billy Donovan, personally. And just like you said, how you're kind of comparing Atlanta. I think the reason why Atlanta did so well was because they got the new coach and he just unlocked something with this team. He unlocked Capello and Trae Young. Can Billy Donovan do that with DeMar, Lonzo, LaVine? I don't really think so, but that's just personally, I don't really rate Donovan as a coach. We'll see. Maybe he might surprise me. But I reckon a lot of Atlanta's success came from their coach, their head coach. But hey, I reckon for Chicago, around maybe 8th, 9th. Yeah, again, I'm not that high on them compared to you.
Surely
but,
Nate McMillan must have been like the first interim coach to nearly take his team to the finals, right? Like, this dude wasn't even hired as the coach.
Yeah.
Like, Tyronn Lue did it, but I'm pretty sure the Cavs upgraded him to head coach straight away. I don't think they made him interim. But with Chicago, there was no guarantees with with Atlanta, rather, there was no guarantees with Nate McMillan. But I'm looking at the depth chart right now of the teams in the East, and I'm going to say the teams that are better than Chicago. Philly, Nets, Bucks, Knicks, Atlanta, Heat. Those are 6 teams that will all be better than Chicago. I don't have too high expectations for Indiana. I really don't, but I think they could push for the playoffs. Boston as well. I don't think they're going to have a good season. I think they're a very overrated team. I don't rate them too much. And Charlotte, I think they need one more year to develop this young core and young depth that they have, but they're heading to the right direction. And I don't mind how they brought back Barago, who I know he hasn't made the playoffs and he's been their coach for 4 years, but he seems to be a really nice development dude and the guys get around him. I think the Bulls will sit around 7th to 9th. Genuinely, I think they will make the playoffs, but they'll have to go into the play-in tournament. I don't think there's a guaranteed spot for them in that top 6 just yet. They'd have to get a power forward or something first.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be difficult. I do expect Boston to be better than them. I think a
Ooh.
main reason why Boston were pretty crap last year, we can't forget about all their injury problems. Kemba wasn't healthy. Tatum actually sat quite a bit of games. Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown was out for a bit as well. They did have quite a bit of injury problems throughout their whole season. So, and where did they finish? What, ninth or eighth? I know they were in the
Yeah,
play.
something like that.
Yeah, like I think a lot of that would have to be on injuries. I personally do think they're a bit overrated as well. I'm not a fan of Boston. I think I've made that pretty clear in my other, just in my videos. I'm not a fan of Boston, but I think we've got to give them a bit of leniency here. They could be better than we expect because they did have a lot of injuries here. I do reckon they'll be better than Chicago.
My issue with that though is that they were bad with Jalen Brown. Like they weren't any better really than what they were. Like, I guess they were obviously better with Jalen Brown than what they were without. But it's not like their team was playoff bound when they had Jalen Brown in the team. I don't know if they got better or worse this offseason though. Because they brought in Horford, but dude, they got rid of Kemba, Schroeder. There's still the big question on Schroeder. Can he be alright? Because he's just another shot creator. They wanted to get rid of Kemba because they had too many shot creators. Then they brought in another shot creator. It's just kind of like, where is this Boston Celtic team going? And Josh Richardson's another addition that they got. And Chris Dunn. Dude, Chris Dunn, he's alright. Like, as I said, he was insane. He would have been an insane 15th man, but he's going to get big minutes in this. I think, did they keep him? They kept him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they've kept him, he might get some minutes in this rotation, but like, I don't know. I'm not too high on Boston. I think Chicago they'll be better, I think. I can't see why they wouldn't be. Especially like, dude, Lonzo, Levine, DeMar, and Vucevic. I'm taking that over just like Jalen Brown and Tatum. And Al Horford. I'll give Al Horford some credit. He's good.
This is why we all have our different opinions, I guess. Because hey, I disagree to agree. Because I don't. Oh, however that saying goes.
Disagree to a degree. Is
yeah,
that it?
that's it.
All right.
Yeah. I think Boston will be better, but I guess we'll see. Because I think Boston are pretty good. But then you look at the Chicago team, they've got a lot higher expectations, especially with all these additions now.
Yeah. Do you see Charlotte being worse or better this year?
Around the same. I reckon they won't really change. I reckon Charlotte's gonna be a team they're gonna be around the exact same position for the next 3 years, 2 years. And when I mean exact same position, I mean borderline play-in. Like, no, I know they're gonna maybe just make 10th some seasons, but right now it's nah. I reckon they'll just be the exact same as last year. They'll be all right.
Yeah.
They've still got pretty far.
You know what I think though? I think realistically though, I think with Charlotte, I think they'll be like same like in skill level because all these young players coming in, it's going to be hard for them to be better. But in saying I think they'll be similar, for some reason I could see them losing more games. That's not saying they've gotten worse as a team. The reason I could see them losing more games is because you see so many players from the West just join the East. Like, the East is stacked. Chicago moved past Charlotte now. Washington, there is a chance because they got such a good depth that they move past Charlotte now. I'm not saying the Cavs will move past Charlotte, but bringing in Laurie Markin and Evan Mobley, etc. No, they're not better than Charlotte. They're not better than Charlotte. I'm not saying it. But they're going to win more games than what they did last year. But they're not going to win more than Charlotte. But they're going to win games that are going to take away from Charlotte, I reckon.
Yeah.
The East has gotten better. Whether people would like to admit it or not. And that's where I think Charlotte go from like a 10th seeded team to they could drop down to an 11th or 12th. But I don't think they're going to get worse as a team. I just think that the development stage is going to take longer than what some people think. And
they're still very far off.
Yeah. And even like you look at a team like the Knicks and the Celtics got rid of Kemba, which I think has benefited their team getting rid of Kemba. And then the Knicks bring in Kemba in, which has benefited their team.
Yeah.
So, like, they literally lost a player and benefited from it, and you guys gained a player and benefited from it. The East is going to be way better. That's just another example of it. So
the East should be really good next year. A lot of teams have benefited.
Yeah.
Like you even said, your team, Cleveland, you guys have benefited. You've got Lowry Marketing. Not too sure how it's going to work. The tallest team ever, especially with Taco now.
Yeah.
But hey, every team in the East is pretty much improved. Where
Mm.
look at Charlotte, not really.
Yeah.
Same skill.
Yeah, same. They lost Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, but then they brought in like
Yeah.
Book Knight and Kai Jones. They kind of stagnated. They didn't really, they brought in a center, but like Miles Plumley, is it Miles or Mason? Which Plumley is it? I can't remember what his
I'm not too
first
sure.
name is. Yeah, because I know there's
It's
two.
Mason.
Mason. Oh, goddamn. But anyway, it's just kind of like I don't think they really did too much. Do you think? What do you? I know like Laurie Markin has kind of been beaten to death at this point. Like everyone's spoken about their thoughts and opinions on Laurie Markin. And I don't think my issue with Laurie Markkinen to start off with is not the money because paying a player like Laurie Markkinen $16 million a season now it's super standard. Like
That's fine.
he's a
Yeah.
role player. He's gonna be a role player that could average you like 14 points off the bench. Gallinari's on 18 million a season. He averaged like 9 off the bench. It's standard. That's the NBA that we're in right now. My issue is I think it would have been a really good signing if the Cavs got rid of Kevin Love. But because Kevin Love's still on the team, I'm still not too. I don't know what to think about it. Like the Cavs for sure improved, but we didn't get rid of the main focus, which is still Kevin Love, who needs to be
Yeah.
gone from this team. That kind of segues into my next thing. Kevin Love, where do you think? Do you think he'll remain on Cleveland for the final 2 years of his contract? What do you think is going to happen there?
Hey, the less years it gets, the more tradable that contract looks. How many years left? Two years
It's
left.
only two.
Okay, 2 years isn't too bad.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, it's not the best. It pretty much ruins a team for 1 year. But yeah, hey, 2 years isn't too bad. I reckon he probably will get traded. But to what team? That's the issue. And then to trade for him, a team's got to send out that cap space as well. So it's a bit difficult. Maybe a team that I'm trying to think of an example on top of my head. A team that maybe has a pretty bad contract as well, but their contract is expiring, and Kevin Love is a more intriguing player for a shooter at the 4 position or 5.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where a trade could work. Other than that, if that doesn't happen, then he's probably going to end up staying. But hey, now it's only 2 years. It's definitely more tradable than what it was.
Well, the second year too. Apparently, there's a rumor he would be willing on the second year to give up $15 million. So then it becomes a $15 million contract.
Yeah, well, fuck, that is huge. That's huge.
And I think a team will, if Kevin Love actually plays good this season, because apparently he's going to play about 23 minutes per game off the bench at center. Kevin Love is the type of dude that if he gets healthy and in that 23 minutes per game, I could see him scoring like 11 points and having like 8 rebounds, 40% from 3, which is, oh man, if you can get a player like that for $15 million, teams will do that. But it's just whether or not he wants to give up the $15 million on his second year.
He could still be an awesome role player. I think the issue is we know for a fact he isn't going to be playing 82 games. His health is clearly an issue. The whole reason why, didn't stay for Team USA was, hey, he was getting too tired. That was genuinely the reason. His body couldn't handle it. He's very, his health and all of that stuff it's an issue for him. He can't play too many games in a row.
You're completely right. I've heard the Warriors have been like interested in trying to get like a buyout for a long time. The 50, I don't think they'll be able to, if he wants that, if he's going to keep the 15 million, they're not going to be able to get him. But I've heard that they really, really like Kevin Love and would love to see him play like 23 minutes per game as like their backup big.
Was this at Golden State?
Yeah, that could for sure happen.
That'd be awesome.
15 million is a little out of the Warriors range, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have a contract to trade up for that. The salary caps just don't work. But the Warriors are heading into they've got a big season. I don't know if they're overrated or not. I think it will determine how Klay Thompson comes back to see if they are overrated. But my question is, can they compete? Can they compete for a 2022 championship? What would have to go in this season for them to do this?
Yes, they definitely can. And I think for this to happen, they need Steph Curry to have an MVP season, and they need him to have a season like last year. But yeah, a season exactly like last year, dropping 50 points some games. But then he should have his second teammate alongside, and that's Klay Thompson. If Klay Thompson can come back and be just a little bit like he was not last year, when he was healthy, I mean, hey, that Golden State team could definitely compete for a championship. And then you've got Draymond Green still, he's awesome, Wiggins, hey, yeah, for sure. And Wiseman, don't forget about Wiseman as well. Wiseman. Like, for sure, yeah.
The thing is too, I've had a lot of respect for Warriors fans recently because Warriors fans seem to be all on the same page with Klay Thompson. None of them think he's going to be that good in his season coming back, which is completely understandable because this guy has missed 2 years. And what I've seen Warriors fans saying is he's going to average 15 points per game. That is, not many fans agree on things like that. I got to give, clap my hands for the Warriors fans. Agreeing on like a goal like 15 points per game is pretty acceptable for a dude that has missed 2 years. And I don't think people realize how like valuable bringing a guy in to play some good perimeter defense, maybe shoot 40% from three and score 15 points per game. Some people don't understand how valuable that is in a player. And Wiseman improves too.
Yeah. Well, that's still huge. 15 points for Klay Thompson. Hey, you can't not be happy with that. And like what he also offers, he's a player that he's on the court and you can't leave him open. People forget how important that is. Just to have a player on a team where you literally have to keep your eyes on them 24. We've seen how they guard Steph Curry. How when he doesn't have the ball, they are chasing him around the whole second player, Klay Thompson. Draymond Green will be setting him off-ball screens, just trying to get Klay Thompson open. That is now 2 players you can't leave out of your eyesight for that Golden State team. That is why they were so good when they won like 70 games.
Yeah. Well, if you got a double team there and you got a double team there, that means there's only one defender trying to guard 3 players. So,
yeah.
Wow. It becomes an exciting sight for Warriors. And I think the other thing that makes them improve too this season is veteran depth. Otto Porter Jr. will be better than what Carlo Oubre was for them. He won't average more points per game. His defense probably won't be better, but he'll do what he wants to do with less touches of the ball. And the chemistry will just be better. And James Wiseman, I compare him to Garland a lot in terms of Garland had that kind of missed college and came straight from the NBA, straight to the NBA rather, where everyone called Garland a bust in his first season. Similar to Wiseman, look at Garland now. People think he's the future of Cleveland. He's averaged 16 and 6 or something in his second season. There's a chance this dude averages 20 and 7 next year. James Wiseman will be a beast this season, I think. He's just got to, what's the word? Like, get a feel with the team and to get the chemistry going. And then I think could be really good. All he needs to do is set up a lot of screens and play some good defense. Then you'll see a very significant impact in his game, whether the stats tell it or not. That's all he's got to do.
As long as he has the smarts, this team can be really good. Wiseman is going to get that many open shots. We're thinking Draymond Green's running around the whole court. There's setting screens for everyone. There's going to be open cuts for Wiseman. There's going to be plenty of open shots for Wiseman. He just has to have the smarts, or Draymond Green's going to crack it. He has to have the smarts to know when to attack at the ring and just get open slam dunks. Okay, if he's open, Draymond Green or Stephen Curry, they're gonna see him and give him the ball. It's just he has to, like you said, team chemistry is such a big thing for this team. If there's no chemistry, it won't work. But the whole reason why Golden State have been so good in the past years, it's always been their chemistry is ridiculous. They pass amazing. It's the chemistry, man.
wow, I couldn't have said it any better. It's gonna be a cool season, like for the
Yeah.
Warriors fans. Warriors fans should be excited, but they shouldn't. I don't know if they should expect a contender yet. I still think there's one or two things they need to do. Maybe get some more minutes into like Wiseman and that. Get Clay hopefully healthy. And then maybe look to trade Wiggins and other stuff and get in maybe a better small forward that is more suited for the team. That's
Yeah.
just a maybe. That's an option. It's going to be a real interesting thing to see how the Warriors go. But I reckon that's all we got time for today. I really want to thank you so much, Brody, for joining me. Don't forget
all
to
right, mate.
check out Brody's channel and his podcast, Nothing But Action, which I will link in the description down below. I'm on a couple episodes, so if you love hearing my voice, you should love Brody's podcast as well. And again, I'm guessing we're going to start doing some video stuff for that podcast too, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. Got to start getting the Zoom going and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, this has worked out really well. I like this.
Yeah. So definitely, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are as well on this podcast. If you guys like this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the Clips channel, which I will be linking in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.